we have created a EC2 instance, and for Linux one, we'll try to add a couple of users. Some of you have already, I think, in the last week, in the beginning of the session, somebody asked about this question. Like, we can't have a same EC2 instance for all the team members, right? So instead, what we will do, we'll be creating a machine, and for that machine, we'll be sharing across all the team members within the team, right? So that's how we create the number of users. Even if it is Linux or Windows, we do follow the same, right? For example, if you have some application server, for example, you have application called Splunk. So if you want to, we can't create an individual user and we set it up and we'll just share that particular server with a single resource, right? It will not make any sense, right? So if it is already up and running and if it has some functionalities, then it is good to create a user and assign the same instance or same server with the different people so that it can be utilized properly and the same functionality of a particular server can be availed across all the users. Do you see my point? Why do we really need to create a user? For example, this is a server and I have installed, for example, this is a, AWS, Amazon.it. Do shopping, whatever. So first of all, before actually getting into any of your application, it's, the application itself, it will ask you to, you have already account. If you have already account, just sign. If not, it will give us the option to sign up, right? So where you can fill some details and you can ask for access to these applications. So similarly, we will be creating a EC2 instance. In our case, we'll be creating a EC2 instance. Let's say we have a team of 5, right? Just a second. Please give me a minute. Okay. I think on that chat. So if you have 5 members in a team, so then all the team members, if they have to access a particular resource or a machine, then it's always good practice to create an individual user to respective team, and we'll assign to those username and corresponding PPK file, whatever. So this is how we can monitor, like on the user, what and all they have done in individually. Right? We will discuss it and we will see. We'll also practically look at the. So basically, uh, every Amazon EC2 instance, Linux, Linux, if it is Windows or Linux, or if it is any flavors of Linux, we will be log into that machine with the help of the default username. If it is Windows, if it is if it is Windows, that is administrator, and if it is Linux one, it is EC2 user. EC2 user only for Amazon Linux. If it is for Ubuntu, we used to log in with the default username called Ubuntu only. Right? We will see that. Today, we'll try to create a Ubuntu machine and we will create a multiple user and see how it works. Right? Okay. So let us quickly get into our AWS console. Let's click on to instances and let's check if we have any instances here. I'm in a Mumbai region. Okay, I don't have any instances. Good. So let's click on launch instance. And we have already learned the purpose of instance, how to create an instance. I'll just say it is Ubuntu machine. Ubuntu is another flavor of Linux, which is also Linux machine. So here you can select and see if you want to explore more, you can click on browse more AMI, and as in you click here I can see this is a free tier eligible, and if you want you can also select the drop down, and if you if you don't like this version you can always select the required one, but always please go ahead and select the free tier eligible for practice purpose. Okay, now I've selected the Ubuntu operating system. So till now we just learned AWS Linux and Windows, and now today we are seeing Ubuntu. And later, in later sessions, we will be creating Mac OS, Red Hat, and a few other based on our requirement. So afterward, this is the T2.micro, which is freely eligible, which was selected. And later, as this is the Linux one, I have already created a key. So simply why to create a new key. So fine. Now, if you want, as this is Linux one, so as I have already noticed that we have security groups which we have already created. If I correctly, it should be 5, but let's cross verify. Yeah, mainly we'll have to ensure that SSH port or 22, which should be enabled on this instance, so that you'll be able to access. And also we have enabled port number 80. We can make that server as a web server. And to attach, we will see what is volume and everything today in detail. And I'm clicking the launch instance. Okay, my instance is ready. So this is the instance ID. So this is the unique name which will be given to each instance. So we will see how it works. Okay, I think we'll wait for instance to run in. Now let's try to log. Typically we need to wait for status check, but if it has some option, I mean, if it is resolving, we are good. So I'm just going with the public IP. Today we'll talk about what is public IP, private IP, and also a static elastic IP. We will see that. Okay, this is the public IP. All right. Now I'm using putty. And as usual, this, the IP address I'm giving, and under SSH, I'm giving the author details. So this is the already converted CPK file. So I'm just entering that info. Now I'm accepting the certificate as now. Please Google it. You will get to know as we have selected with Ubuntu operating system. So Ubuntu flavor expects username as a default username as Ubuntu instead of EC2 user. Let us try to give EC2 user. Let's see if it works. So it refuses a key itself because it is the username it is expecting as Ubuntu, right? So let's restart the session. So instead of EC2, I'm giving Ubuntu. Why we are giving Ubuntu? Because the flavor which we are using is a Ubuntu one. Okay. Now I've just logged into this machine. Now the user have created here. I mean, I logged in with this. I logged into this machine with a user called Ubuntu. Please note that whenever we log into our machine, all the EC2 instances for all the Linux flavored machines, they will be redirecting to a private IP of this machine. For each machine, there will be two types of IP will be provided. One is private IP and another one is public IP. When I say public IP, which will be accessed for all the members or whoever using the AWS one, so they'll be able to access with the help of the public one because it is hosted publicly. In later sessions, we will be when we talk about VPC and all, there we will be creating the resources inside the VPC or inside the private network. For those instances, this will not be there. I mean, public IP will not be given at all, which means we are very much restricting ourselves to access our resources. So that's the reason they'll be providing only private IP. Who and all can access the private IP? Only the authorized persons can access the private IP. So, and one thing you should remember, so this particular instance will be created, right? This public IP, whatever we got here, it is not a permanent one. It is temporarily allocated. But till I terminate my instance, this private IP is a unique one, and which will be there till the termination, right? In order to test it, we'll just stop this instance. And please note before that, uh, for example, let's say this is the instance, right? And what I'm doing here, I'm just stopping the instance. I'm not terminating. If I terminate it, what will happen? The complete instance, whatever the hardware we have, everything will be deallocated. So we'll not get back anything which we have saved or which we have done some work there. So here, just to show you how public IP works, so I'm just stopping this instance. Okay, now the instance is in stop state. Now what I'm doing again, I'm clicking on start instance. Now, so please see here, the public IP, it can change or it can't be changed. So we are not 100% sure that public IP should will be keep on changing. But backend, the purpose of having the public IP is just if you just release a public IP of this instance, then automatically this public IP will be released. Meantime, if someone else creating a EC2 instance, then this IP will be allocated to that machine. So let us see if that is still changed or not. Okay, I got an IP. This is the public IP. 247. See, now public IP, it just got changed, right? But please do remember the private IP of this machine, it didn't change because it knows this is the private IP which will not be changing, but the public IP, whenever I just stop this instance, then it just got released and allocated to some other machine. And when we started it again, then it found out this IP got allocated by AWS. How exactly it works and all, we will see subnet and VPC no, when probably in the upcoming sessions. If, do you have any questions here? See, basically, public IP will be allocated to a machine when we create an instance, and this is not permanently available to that particular machine. If you just stop it and start it, again, the new public IP will be getting allocated, whereas private IP will leave with the instance till it gets terminated. So that's the reason most of us, we will be relying on the private IP. It is good practice as well. Okay. This is about public IPs and private IPs. We will see how exactly static IP works. Now, in our case, let's try to create a user. So let's open up PPT. First of all, let's see. Basically, here we can see these are the steps we follow in order to create a user. So we will be learning in detail the users and permissions and everything when we look into Linux administration course. We have also having that course as well. We will see probably the other courses. Now, just to see what are all the users which are currently being created in this machine. So see again now it got changed. This one also it doesn't work because the complete IP of this machine got changed, right? So let's copy the public IP. Let's test it. And we'll just log in with the hotkeys. Okay. And the default name for Ubuntu flavored machine as Ubuntu. Now just log in. Now, what do you need to do? So we have a command called under etc. We will see now what exactly etc folder being OPT. So in the Linux administration classes, but let us stick on to AWS context here. So what we'll do? So we will try to look into this file. What are all the users they have created? So the one user I can see as the Ubuntu. Only one user. Let us see. We'll try to create a multiple user, and if, let's see if it lists here. Okay. What is the step here? First of all, we need to create a user in the Linux machine. First, we will have to create a instance. We have created. Now we will have to create a new user. Once we create a user, then we'll have to switch to new user, right? We will do that. So what is the step here? First, we need to create a user. So sudo user add is a user add is a command. Which this command will help us to add a user in a Linux machine. So let's say Jenu is a username. Okay, I have created. Now, but still I'm using Ubuntu user. So in order to log in with Jenu as a user, then you need to uh, type sudo to Jenu. So that now you are into, sorry, Jenu. And that yeah, it is created. So the user has already created. Now, so this is a command where we can list out the available files under any file system. So ls, lrt, alr. So we have many commands also. We will look into them in detail probably in the upcoming session. Now I have created a user called Jenu. Now I'll have to make use of some properties with the help of Linux, and uh, I should make sure the particular users which we created, they should also have access to this particular machine. See, typically how we will log into this machine. First of all, we need to get IP address, and afterwards we'll have to enter the auth key. Auth key in the sense that's the private key of PPK file which will be uploaded. Correct. So similarly, as and when we add this particular user, we are supposed to make sure that this user also should have a particular key. For example, say let's say this is the machine which I've created globally, and now I'm trying to log in with a info called EC2 user, correct? So the username which we will be giving as EC2 user, this is the or if it is for Windows, or sorry, if it is Ubuntu, the default name will be Ubuntu. Okay. Now we give a username called Ubuntu, and also we give the PPK file so that it is authorized for a particular user called Ubuntu. So similarly, if I'm creating a user called Jeno, I should make sure this particular PPK file also should be attached to this particular user. Then only he'll be able to getting into this machine, right? So that's how the access works. We need to enter a username. We first of all we need to give a IP address, and afterwards we'll just under the authorization section we'll enter our PPK file, and afterwards we'll give the username as Ubuntu if it is a Ubuntu flavored machine. So then this particular user is authorized to use this PPK, then he'll be entering to that particular machine. Similarly, a user called Jane if I'm creating, then he needs to be aware of this particular PPK file. So we will have to ensure the new user also should add it with this PPK so that this PPK file will be shared across all the team members so that all the team can they'll be able to log into the machine individually with their respective names. Okay. So we will see that. So what is the next step here? The next step here which asks for the next step will be we need to create a hidden folder. See the hidden folder when I say if I want to look if I just press ls I don't see any details, but if I just enter ls Here we will be able to see folders. So these are all hidden folders and hidden files, right? So now
Okay.
as these are the folders which are available for Ubuntu. Please understand, inside the Ubuntu user, let me
Huh?
get into the folder.
Okay, okay,
Huh?
okay.
Praveen, can you please go on mute?
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. And now, how exactly it is working? See, this is the default username for Ubuntu flavored machine, and I logged in as a Ubuntu. And how it is matching? There is something called as .ssh folder. This is a hidden folder under which there is something called as authorized key. So this is the authorized key. This is the authorized key which is helping user to connect Amazon EC2. So similarly, if I create a user, then this particular key should be made available to that particular user. So then only he'll be able to log in. Otherwise, he'll never be able to log into this machine. So what is our job? We have already created a user called Jenu. Now we'll have to create a we'll have to log in with the user called Jenu, and then let's see if we have any folder called .ssh. If not, we will create it, and we'll have to change the permissions. We will see how it goes, right? So now if we have to come out of this one, so I should press on exit. But this is the default username we have. Now, what is the command to switch to user? Sudo su change. Okay. Now we'll do one thing. Let's quickly create a Amazon Linux. I'll try to troubleshoot that, but as of now, let us not waste our time. We will just create Amazon Linux one and we'll see. I'm just going with the default one. I'm just selecting Amazon Linux and the key pair, just selecting Linux key and let's just select the existing one. Linux file. Let's just to make sure, yeah, these ports are already there. Just select the thing and that's it. So let me create a instance. Okay, so let's try to log in with this one. So this is the public IP and let me log in. I'll try to troubleshoot later why that is not logged in with some issue we're facing with Ubuntu flavor. Maybe something we missed, but let us not waste our time. Let us uh, go ahead and learn with the Amazon Linux AMI. So the username will be easy to because this is the Amazon Linux one. Okay, now clear. Now what I'll do, sudo user add, right, and let's say Ravi. So I've just created a user called Ravi, and afterwards I need to switch to this user. So what is the command to switch to this user? So Ravi. So this is the username which I'm creating. See, I'm trying to create a alternative name. Like as of now, we have only one user called EC2 user, and now I'm creating another user called Ravi. Now, see, you could see, you'll be able to log into this machine with the help of user called Ravi. Now, let us check if we have any folder under Ravi, right? So we will see what is ls-e, what is EALS probably later. So if you can see here, we don't have any folder called .ssh. But in the previous one, we just saw that there was a folder called .ssh because under the SSH, there we have something called as authorized key file where we used to store our key. But here we just created a user, but still we haven't created a keys. We are not assigning the key. So in order to assign this particular key, we need to create a folder called .ssh. Dot refers to hidden folder. We will see them in Linux one, but let me create a folder with the name .ssh. Now folder got created. Now if you just rerun the command, now we'll be able to see .ssh, right? And now this is the permission. We will talk about permissions in Linux section, but now let us change the permission to this particular folder. Guys, please understand, giving the permission to a particular user is a task of Linux administrator, but still we'll try to learn that. Now what we have given, we are trying to change the permission to the respective folders which are available here. Now, so the permission which I would like to offer as 700. So what is the command to change the permission? Chmod 700. Why 700? We will see. And to which folder? To .ssh folder. Now you can look at here. These see, just try to compare the permission here. So these were the permission where you were able to read, write, access everything. Now we just restricted to these permissions where you can read and write and acknowledge the thing. Okay, so these steps we follow. And now we need to, as we checked in our previous Ubuntu machine, we were able to see .ssh folder, right? And inside that folder, we don't see anything, right? So are you following? This is the CSS. Now here also I don't see any of the file. Now I have to create a file called authorized keys. Please check with the naming convention. It has to be in this format only. So what is the command? So directly I'm just I'm using the VA editor. Authorized underscore key. The name should be, it should be on. The name should be authorized key. Right now I should press I or let's see. Now how to generate the key? Now please make use of Puttigen. Please make use of Puttigen and click on load here and generate your, please submit your .temp file. Now see, this is the part you need to concentrate here. So this is the authorized key which is generated for me. So whichever the user you want, see, as of now I've just created a username called Ravi. So later if you create any other user, just copy and paste it somewhere and you can make use of. Okay, we will see that. So now for now we just copied this key and just paste it here. Now I'm just saving this file. Now things are done. Now again, if we just check the thing, so some permissions still needed. So what I'll do again, I'll just change the permissions to the folder. So authorize key. Got updated with the just read and write access. We will see what is 600, what is 700 little late. Okay, so this is done. And once this is done, we will try to log in with the user called Ravi. So let me create a duplicate session. Okay, so now I'll try to log in the user called Ravi. Now see, I've just logged in with the user called Ravi. Now let me just exit. Now I'm in the user called EC2 user, and this is the user called Ravi. Do you see my point? Whatever Ravi does, for example, he created a folder called Ravi. Whatever, okay, he just created. And let's see if you just do ls, you can see folder called Ravi here. But if I just do ls, you don't see anything because whatever the work done by Ravi, which is applicable to him only, he can't. I mean, for the remaining user or the other users, they can't be able to see the work he has done by Ravi. So uh, this is the reason why we create a user and just assign to a particular user. So we can continuously closely monitor what and all he has done. Like see, even for your machines also, right? Also, right? For your development thing, so they will be giving a we are creating a user and just assigning this to machine. I mean, assigning this machine to you, so that in the same machine, multiple users can work concurrently or simultaneously, and they can give their output. Any questions here? Let's take some questions if you have.
Yes,
Or will
Naveen. Yeah, sorry, Naveen. I joined little late today.
no problem.
I just want to know, as you said that means as I joined little late, so the agenda of this is that EC2 user is now normally we saw that EC2 user is actually able to do everything in any of the Linux
Correct.
instances, and here you created another user Ravi, and Ravi is now able to do everything. So
Not
means
everything. Not everything. So, but still, let's say if you want to log in as a root user, Ravi is
hmm,
not permitted because
hmm,
it is possible in
administrator
EC2.
right is not there.
Yeah, he'll be able to log in as a
Hmm.
root user. That's what in Linux classes we will learn how to assign roles to a particular user so that he will have necessary access and roles as compared to EC2 user.
Mm. Okay. So now, my question is, if as Ravi is not the root user, but EC2 user is the root user or administrative user. So how the administrator can track the work of a Ravi or any other things? As you said that that system can be used as a shared system. So maybe Ravi can use the same system, I can use the same system. If you able to give the access to the others, so someone from administrator able to track their work
Right?
as well, right?
It is possible and it is there. We will learn that in detail in Linux courses.
Okay, okay, okay.
It is
Thanks.
possible. Definitely, it is possible, and that's how industry they are
Hmm.
they're maintaining different teams. If it is a Windows, a Windows team, there is a team called Windows team, and they'll be responsible to execute some task like installing whatever we did, install Apache Tomcat on Windows machine. So similarly, creation of a user, assigning the roles, and how to monitor them, we will look into them.
Okay.
If you don't wait till the other course, if you could let me know. So if needed, I'll just take one session on Linux part. I'll just try to cover some basics, whatever which is needed to
Hmm.
to get into the AWS one. And
Hmm.
later we'll see that. If you really
Okay.
want to see that, just probably I'll take
Yes, yes.
another session on Linux part.
Okay. And one more question, Naveen. Through CH mod, you remove the permission from Ravi, right? Because you give 700 or
700,
6, because 999 means to give all the permission to Ravi,
777.
but yeah. So you restricted the permission to Ravi to give him all the access of read, write, and update.
Correct. So this is the
Okay.
as per the AWS documentation. So
Okay.
in order to create a user, we should not give a complete authority to a particular user.
Hmm. Okay.
Right.
And
Otherwise,
Naveen, okay.
yes,
Yeah, and then is it a part of EC2 things or it is a part of AMI means where we are managing the user, giving them the permission and all, or it is a part of EC2
see,
itself?
managing the users and all, it's completely of Linux part, right?
Okay.
The Linux admin part. The reason I showed here today is just because probably we know that somebody asked in the last week how to create a user and assign.
Oh,
So
okay,
in this,
okay, okay,
we
okay.
can create a user and we can just I'm trying to give a scenario. We can a
Mm,
multiple users can access a EC2.
okay. Thanks, Naveen. That's a lot. Yeah,
Definitely,
thanks.
we'll have detailed discussions when we look into Linux. Hmm?
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Naveen.
I'm really covering those stuff. Okay. Any other questions here? See, please look at the difference here. So, being Ravi, as we restricted, so he doesn't have much access and he can only do the limited thing. But it again, administrator part, who can do what. So accordingly, he'll be restricting the user. So, being a admin user called EC2 user, he'll be able to access or he'll be able to switch to a root user, but Ravi can't because of the permission. Okay, and let's say being in
Is it possible for Ravi to be an admin? Like, can we make that person as also as an admin?
definitely we can just assign the admin roles.
But it is behind the scenes, right? So we need to do some. Uh, we need to add somewhere, or how it is?
It's all we need to assign some roles to the user called Ravi, so we can also assign the admin roles. We will do that. It is
Okay,
possible.
okay. Yeah,
How we are
thank you.
monitoring. That's how we are monitoring. So we are in the very much basic state, and most of the
Mm-hmm.
people, if I understand correctly, most of us, our team, they are not, they have not created a instance also. That's what I presume. Because even in our YouTube also, I don't see very less views compared to the first video. In first video, I could see more views, and second and third, I don't think they have active. So if I just, it will be confusing. But yes, I'm planning to cover these things on Linux training. If you still need it, do let me know. I'll just take some sessions on weekends and I'll just try to cover these patterns. But yes, we can create a user and we can make the user as an admin and even we can assign some task or we can assign some responsibility or for example for Praveen I can assign some responsibility but for me I can restrict myself or I know administrator he can give some less access to me so these kind of things clear.
Hello?
Yeah, actually.
Hello?
Welcome.
Yes, yes,
Sir,
Bala. Yes, Lakshman. Yes, Lakshman
sir,
or Bala.
Sir Balram.
Yes, Bala.
Sir, assume we are created multiple users here. Is it possible to access everyone at a time, like EC2
Everyone
instance?
can. Yeah, that is everyone they can. That's how I'm accessing, right? Okay. Let me try to create another user.
Okay,
So
thank you.
how to create? See, as of now, here you can see this is the EC2 user which we have created and Ravi also we created. Correct? Now
Yeah,
let us try to create a user called Balram. What is the command? Sudo user add Balaram. Okay. Now user called Balram has added. Now let me log in with this username called Balram. Now, now we have created a new user. So once we create a user, we log in with that user. Now let us check if we have the necessary folders in this user. So let us check. No, I don't have a folder called .ssh. So what is my next thing? I should create a folder called .ssh. Okay. So once that is done, I should if I look in. Okay, I just created SSH. Okay. You can also see if that is there. Yeah, that is there. Now the next thing is I'm restricting. user, I mean this particular folder, so that this folder can have limited access. And once that is done, so let me get into this folder with this cd command, and afterwards let us check if we have any other files which I need. I don't have any authorized key. So what is the next step? I need to uh, create a authorized key. So yeah, please make sure you type correctly. And afterwards, we already copied one thing. So let's copy and paste. Let's save this. And if you can look at what is the authorized key, yeah, you'll be able to see. Now, authorized keys are present. Now we need to change the permission of authorized key, right? So that part is pending. So we'll do that one as well. So it's more that now my part is done. Now I'm in Balram. Let me exit now. Now I'm logged in with the user called EC2 user, and the same IP, if you can see. Let me restart. You can see the same private IP which is selected 172.31.34.221. So similarly, I have created a user called user Balaram. So let me try to the new session. This IP address of this machine. Okay. And search path. Let me log into C. So basically what we'll do, we'll just put it in some shared drive and all can have access to this particular PPK. Now I can log in this machine with the user called Balram. So if I just do ls, Balram will not have anything of Ravi because Ravi has a folder called Ravi. But Ravi has created a folder with this username, so this is only available for this Ravi. Whereas Balram, if Balram creates, let's say KDAF Balram, now if I just do ls, he'll be able to see, but he can't see. What will happen if I just go ahead with EC2 user? Let's say let's try to create a user in with the help of EC2 user. My folder, create the folder. Let us try to check if this is available now. We got it. So these users are individual users, so which is dedicated to their work. So this is how we'll monitoring. We will see how to assign more roles to particular user. So we can, we can make Ravi to work as EC2 user only, or we can try to take out some actions. So this kind of thing will work. Is that fine? So same instance can be used by multiple users. So here EC2 user is using, Balram is also using, Ravi is also using. Is it clear, Balram?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So my work is done. So let me just try to terminate the instance.
Naveen, 1 second. Oh, you clicked
Yeah.
on terminate, is it? No,
No.
the thing is like in real time, we won't be creating individual users, right? What happens is we'll create one group and we'll assign the users to that group.
That is correct.
Right.
That is
and one more thing is like every time we are copying that key that authorization key and we are submitting means we are executing that for every single user. So what happens in real time, like for group, for once we'll execute once and we'll leave it, or for every user will be executing that?
no. See, this is I'm just demonstrating with a lot of limitations. See, basically we have something called as AD integration. AD in the sense Active Directory Login Vehicle. So which means we don't have to create a, I mean, we don't have to, share this particular users with all the, we don't have to share this private key with all the users. So instead, so we will be creating whatever the login credentials which he uses to log into his machine. We'll use those credentials and we'll be able to we'll create a group and we'll make it available for all the members of a particular group. So really, we don't have to have to log in with this key, but that is something called as Active Directory Login. AD credentials. With the help of AD credentials, we can integrate kind of a LDAP. Have you heard of LDAP?
Yeah. Lightweight directory access protocol.
Correct. So where we will maintain all the username and password in real time. We will be whatever we can assign username and password as well. But here we have some restrictions to show all those things. But at least for some, for some time, we can share our private keys with a limited group, and we can access this machine with by multiple users. But in real time, typically we create a user group called admin group, or where we can also say you can delete group or can modify group. So with these names we can create and we can assign a particular user along with the AD credentials, like Active Directory credentials. So they'll be able to log into those machines with their Active Directory credentials.
Okay.
Do you see my point?
And one more thing, Naveen, like, can you open that Linux instance once? Here by default it is by default it will show as EC2 instance as the user, right? What about the super user root? If we give root, it will accept the root, or it won't?
Only as of now, with the permission have given and the roles have permitted to EC2. For EC2 is allowed to switch to root, but the
Okay.
users which have created, they have not permitted. If you can see, so because we'll have to add some additional responsibility to this particular user, then only he'll be able to have access to user called Balram. Guys, you might be, I don't know what's your background. In most of our organization, when we request access to a particular server, there are two things. First, if we just have to access basic things, we'll just request for a normal access. But if we are implementing something in that machine, we will ask them to provide a admin access. Correct? We will look into that, but let us not get confused with, otherwise we'll not be able to understand these things. So just for now, we have created a user and multiple users can access the EC2. But yes, Balram being the user called Balram, he can have admin access. He can switch to root user as well. But here we have not permitted him to to switch to root user because of lack of permission. But that is possible.
Okay, now. Thank you.
Clear? Any other questions? Wait, this is important. All right. Okay. Can I consider this? You guys understood? I'll proceed further.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Naveen.
Now, quickly I'll just terminate this one and we'll try to learn some of the topic. Okay, see that's what I'm saying. So I request all of you to know if you have some, if you have some issues in buying laptop, do let me know. Let me try to do something for you. You should come up with something, right? So or else I'll try to arrange some of the laptops I have. Let's see how it works. But I request all of you to practice. See, otherwise there'll not be any use, conducting these sessions also, right? Until unless you practice the thing, and you should come up with the questions. See, when you practice these things only, you will get to know, right? So okay, please do that favor. Okay. Now it is bit very important topic. Let us try to understand what exactly virtualization. What is virtualization? Okay. And also we should know how AWS is creating the resource, right? So we will, I think we have, conceptually we have understood how exactly AWS will create a EC2 instance or RDS instance, whatever. But now I want to touch a point called hypervisor and what hypervisor we are using in AWS. So that I wanted to highlight. So that's the reason I put this topic here. Okay. Virtualization is something like achieve something, but physically which is not present, virtually which is present. For example, you want to, let's say you have a Windows machine. Let's say you have a Windows machine. This is the Windows machine you have. Now you have a Windows operating system on it. Can anyone tell me if you have to install Linux operating system, what tool do you need? Probably you may need Oracle virtual hypervisor, or most of you are already familiar with what is that, VMware, right?
Virtual
So these
machine.
are
Yeah.
VMware, correct? So these are the tools you are supposed to be needed to install additional operating system on top of your machine, correct? So the same process applicable for AWS also, which means in our case, we need to install VMware. With the help of VMware, on top of VMware, we will be installing another uh, operating system called Linux. Right? This is how. I think I've already discussed. We'll be sharing the physical hardware the concentration and everything to the newly created operating system, then definitely performance of a Windows machine will go down compared to previously how it was working, because we'll be sharing the resources from the Windows operating system. From your computer. So now same resources can be shared across Windows and Linux operating system. So how we'll be installing the Linux operating system on Windows with the help of VMware. For example, let's take an example of VMware only. Now, somehow, if I have to create a machine in a computer with the help of this GUI option, which is also somewhere this part should be taken care. So where exactly it has taken care? It has taken care at the AWS data center. When you hit a request like I need this many RAM or this T2.micro and I should create this in in this availability zone, and this is the key name which I would like to use. After giving these things, right? This is how our typical things work, right? So hardware on this particular hardware we install operating system. After installation of the operating system, we will be installing our VMware. Correct? With the help of the VMware, we'll be creating multiple uh, virtual machines as well. But in AWS, we call something called as bare metal or native hypervisor, which which will not have any dependency on the operating system itself. Which means, see, this is my Windows operating system which currently I'm using. Now I'm creating a EC2 instance in Amazon premises. Do I need to install hypervisor, and does it anywhere related to my operating system? No, it doesn't, because we don't have any dependency on the hypervisor from our part. Our job is to just select the configuration and click on a launch instance. Then this request will hit a data center in the Amazon premises. Then there is something called as hypervisor will be allocated to your request. Please understand, there will be a hypervisor allocated to your request. Based on this request, then this particular uh, the required machine gets created with the help of the hypervisor, which is in Amazon premises, which will be allocated to my request. So in typical in a normal scenario, we'll be using type 2, which means hosted hypervisor, and whereas in our AWS and most of the cloud platforms, we use type 1 hypervisor. This is the certification question. Definitely 1 or 2 questions you may get it under virtualization. Okay. You have any questions here? So this is how we achieve a virtualization in a physical computer, which means we'll have a hardware. On top of it, we have a Windows operating system. After having the operating system, then we install a hypervisor called VMware in our case, and we'll create multiple machines or multiple virtual machines. Whereas in our AWS premises, how it works, there is a hardware and nowhere connected to your operating system, because my operating system is completely independent of the operating system which I'm selecting in the AWS premises. So this hypervisor part also taken care by AWS, so that we don't have any dependency on the virtualization part in our end. Everything will be managed by AWS. So in AWS, we use a hypervisor called XEN Hypervisor, right? So just now try to look at some details here, and also have given some links. In AWS, we use a virtualization tool called XEN Hypervisor in AWS. Clear? Any questions here?
Yeah, hypervisor in the sense it only allocates that memory and everything it will take care once we raise the request from the internet.
Yeah, that is correct. So it is kind of a mediator. It's kind of an interface, you can call.
Okay.
It just receives the information from the internet, whatever the configuration which we give. It does understand. As soon as that's the beauty here. As soon as it creates a request to create any EC2 instance or RDS instance and whatever, or VPC, whatever the resource you would like to create with the help of Amazon, there will be a dedicated hypervisor will be allocated to this particular request, and similarly hypervisor will take care of. See, there is no magic, it can't. When we say cloud, it is not completely in a cloud, right? I mean, it is not. I can't touch the cloud and I can get those hardware. It has to be hosted somewhere. But the reason we call as a cloud, it is hosted in some remote location. We are not worried about. Everything will be managed. But though it is a remote location, but it has to work in this manner only, which means somewhere we need to connect it to VMware, I mean, kind of hypervisor. On top, with the help of the hypervisor only, we'll be able to create our machine. So similarly, in Amazon premises, so they are removing this dependency, because this is the physical hardware which I use. I'm supposed to have an operating system at my place, but here also we have an operating system, but we don't have to install this hypervisor at my operating system or in my computer, because this will be taken care by Amazon.
Okay, thank you.
Now let's look into vCPU. What is when you select your instance, right? So when you select an instance type t2.micro or c5.large, xlarge, all those things, we talked about vCPU. See, when I say vCPU, it's a virtual CPU, which means if we really want to achieve a multi-operating or multi-threaded work or multi-task work, we are supposed to. It all depends on the virtual CPU which is available to us. So that is the reason, before actually creating our EC2 instance, we should make sure what is our requirement, how many requests it may come, so how exactly it can handle, what is the threshold we can think for, and what is the IOPS. IOPS we will see today. IOPS is the number of input-output operations which will be taken care per second or per duration, right? Let's say if you have 200 requests which are coming at a time, then accordingly we'll have to make use of, we'll have to think of the number of virtual CPUs which we need to select for, right? Of course, if you just go with 10 CPUs also, guys, are you getting what I'm saying? For example, our requirement is to have around, let's say I used to get, 100 requests per second, right? So which means per second I am receiving 100 requests. Now I have a computer, I have a server, I have a EC2 instance. For example, if I have around 10 CPUs, 10 vCPUs, with this, what will happen at a time? It can only receive 100 requests per second, but still it can suffice our requirement. But what we face is we face something called as latency, because it has once the 10 threads allocated to a particular job, then it has to wait for these vCPUs get released, then immediately the remaining request will be served, right? So sometimes you might be thinking why my system is very slow, because you'll be doing multiple things. So see, just take an example. You want to copy this particular folder to one machine, which is fine. I mean, to another folder. Immediately, during it is copying the folder. If you try to copy another folder to another location, then the performance of the folder transmission or copying the folder, it gets affected, right? So, in the same way, if we have 10 vCPUs and if you are expecting 100 100 requests per second, then we may face performance issue. So that is the reason, guys, I'm telling you, please analyze the incoming traffic, connect with the multiple people who have some knowledge on the product, and understand accordingly. Try to create an instance. So we don't really need to have 100 vCPUs, but at least it should satisfy at least 50% of the vCPUs, or 25, or at least 30% of the virtual CPUs we need to satisfy. Then only our system will be in a better condition. And okay, let's stop at this point of time. Let's take some questions. EMI is, we'll try to create a EMI. We'll see. Any other questions today? Because this is a bit important. Balram and whoever who has not practiced, and if they are saying some system issues or not, it is not. See, it is all reason. Try to get some, help of your friends, and at least try to practice.
And
Now,
for Linux thing, we need to go through some videos for Linux basics and something. You will can understand some comments or like that.
that is correct. Actually, we are starting a Linux admin batch also somewhere at the
No,
end of.
actually, what I am thinking is if I go through some Linux commands through some YouTube or something for some time, means we'll come to means we will be familiar with Linux, right? Like that.
That is correct.
After that, yeah.
We must have a little Linux background. So that's the reason, we call, AWS solution architect engineer or DevOps engineer, whoever. So they should have minimum knowledge of Linux. So how to create a folder, how to change the permissions, and how to create a file, how to enter the content into the file. Let's see, if I have some time, I'll not wait for that course. Let me try to cover probably somewhere in the next week. Probably I'll just take in a weekend if possible. Let me see my calendar also. Yeah, that is also possible. But I request all of you to just to have little knowledge on Linux, so that will be helpful for you.
And if we don't have like system, like personal laptop like that, you are helping, right? Means I want to know about that, like how you may help like that.
So if I have one extra laptop, I can give it to you, but it will be too difficult to ship all, right? At least one or two I can arrange, and I can give it to somebody.
Okay.
In that way. Otherwise, please talk to your friends. See, if you think this is your world, just try to purchase or try to get it from somebody.
Yeah. Okay.
Please have one or two. At least I can help by giving these laptops to them.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else? So today I thought of covering most of the things, but just got disappointed with your performances. So some of the things you are not able to answer, this is not at all acceptable, right?